Hey, what up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today, talking a little bit about some professional wrestling. Last night with WWE Battleground, Undertaker makes his return, and easily the hottest match that everybody wants to see now is Brock Lesnar versus The Undertaker. Undertaker showed up. He costed Brock Lesnar his chance at reclaiming his WWE Championship against Seth Rollins, and this is one that honestly you have to sort of disband your disbelief about wrestling. You have to sort of like scratch your head and wonder, why, Undertaker would show up at Battleground to make sure that Brock Lesnar did not become champion by beating Seth Rollins. Why wouldn't he have showed up last year at SummerSlam when he was tossing John Cena around with all those German suplexes to become a WWE champion? Definitely that would have been on a bigger stage than Battleground. But, definitely the rematch of Lesnar and Undertaker easily is the biggest match that WWE could put on right now. I think that it does have a lot of appeal of the rematch from WrestleMania 30, the ending of the streak, and just, pushing to have the biggest match that you can. Definitely with SummerSlam around the corner, I think that's where most people think this match is going to take place. But Undertaker wrestling on a show that's not named WrestleMania has not happened in a long time. I believe the last time Undertaker wrestled at SummerSlam was 2008. The last time he appeared on a SummerSlam was 2010, coming back during the Kane match, coming out of he had been put into a coma. Kane was trying to find out who, beat up his brother, and it ended up being that Kane was the one who took his own brother out, starting a feud of Undertaker versus Kane, which would be Undertaker's last sort of full-time status in the WWE. I believe Undertaker would get hurt during their trio of matches, and that is sort of when Undertaker becomes a once-in-a-lifetime or a once-in-a-year kind of wrestler, because they didn't want to take the risk of not having Undertaker at WrestleMania, seeing how the streak meant more than almost anything WWE could really put on. Of course, Undertaker didn't appear at WrestleMania 2000, which would be 16, and did not appear at WrestleMania 10. So, since then, we've always been getting good Undertaker matches year in and year out. I'll never forget, I was there in the Superdome when Brock beat Taker at WrestleMania 30. I thought that it was the biggest surprise that I've ever seen in WWE ever. And to be there live was even more. I remember thinking, did the referee screw up? Did he count to 3 when he wasn't supposed to? I remember that I don't remember hearing the bell for the longest time, and then I don't remember anything coming up on the Tron above the thing for which seemed like forever before they finally put up 21-1 up there on the screen, and then it seemed like it was an eternity before Justin Roberts got on the microphone and started announcing that Brock had won. It felt like a punch in the gut. I mean, Undertaker was that one guy that the streak meant more than anything. For years, I had been picking people to beat the streak. I remember thinking that Shawn Michaels was going to do it at 25 and at 26. I thought there was no way in the world that Shawn was going to retire. I thought that Triple H was going to beat him at 27, but I sort of was talking myself out of it as it went down to it. And then as I was sitting there watching the match live, I was like, shit, it's really going to happen. And then the next year, I thought that there was sort of a chance that Triple H would do it. I thought that CM Punk was the guy that could have ended it as well, seeing how I thought he was the future of the WWE. But looking back now with him, maybe if he did beat the streak, maybe he would think more of the WWE, Triple H, and them for believing in him. But, if he was to leave us to go to UFC like he did, maybe that would be a huge mistake for WWE to do. So it doesn't make a lot of sense that Undertaker came back last year and fought Bray Wyatt. I know that Bray Wyatt was poking the bear, as Jim and I would say, trying to get that match. But I don't know. Undertaker and Brock should have went down at last year's WrestleMania, but instead it looks like it's going to be happening at SummerSlam, unless they're going to stretch it out where it's going to last a long time. I know that Brock doesn't wrestle a lot, so for Lesnar to be a part of the Beast in the East show, for Lesnar to be part of Battleground, and then Lesnar to be a part of SummerSlam, 3 shows so close together, it seems like WWE is going to go for a long time with Brock Lesnar not being around. And if you remember, Brock Lesnar won the championship at SummerSlam, then he fought in a rematch at Night of Champions, and then we didn't see him all the way up into the Royal Rumble as champion. And I don't know, man, wrestling just seemed like it just, I know that they were pushing new stars at that time with Dean Ambrose, with Seth Rollins. They were able to be pushed into main events. I know that Bray Wyatt was able to be in a main event at TLC against Dean Ambrose. So they were building at that time. But honestly, with the roster that they have, they shouldn't be building. They should be just killing it. They have as many guys right now as the Attitude Era had that they can put up on top. So WWE should be putting on the best shows that they can. So that's what I'm thinking that SummerSlam is going to be, with this new sort of WrestleMania feel to it. You've got Sting versus Bray Wyatt, which deal to me isn't that big, but a lot of people like Sting, so that should be a big deal for that match. You've got Undertaker versus Lesnar that should be happening. John Cena is rumored to maybe be going up for the WWE Championship against Seth Rollins. So they should be putting together a big card, and I guess, as promised, the Intercontinental Championship match with Ryback, Big Show, and Miz should be happening at SummerSlam as well, unless they just blow it off on Monday Night Raw between here or there. But you got Kevin Owens, you got Cesaro, you got Rusev. They're all hungry and they're all looking for a spot to take over. Ziggler in the mix whenever he comes back from making that movie or that injury, whatever you want to believe. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Lesnar versus Taker is the biggest match that WWE honestly could put on. It's WrestleMania-esque, but it's not even going to happen at WrestleMania. Happening at SummerSlam. You got to put your money. I listened to Brian Alvarez and Dave Meltzer today, and Alvarez was saying it would make more sense and it would be realistic for something to be really, really big for SummerSlam to happen, and all the Undertaker fans to think that he's going to beat Brock because it's not a championship match. The streak isn't involved, and Lesnar goes over again. Taker sits out for a while, comes back, for the WrestleMania push, comes back and challenges him. This is it, one more time. WrestleMania 32, biggest stage of them all, right there in Cowboy Stadium. We need to put on a great show. Me and you, one-on-one, let's get it on. I'll put up my career. But that doesn't make sense either, because no matter what, Taker's probably going to retire. So I don't know, maybe they just say that the career's on the line and then we just never see Undertaker ever again. But it's going to be a big one, and I'm glad I'm going to be there. Hopefully those WrestleMania packages will go on sooner than later, and we can get those knocked out so that I know that I'm in. But as of right now, they're building up a big show for SummerSlam, which is going to lead to a bigger WrestleMania 32. Hey, what up everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today. After last night's Monday Night Raw, we now have a main event for SummerSlam. Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar. This is going to be one of the big ones. This is definitely going to be a WrestleMania-style main event that we've been talking about for the SummerSlam in Brooklyn this year. Barclays Center. They're really trying to push this big deal. A little bit confused why WWE would give away the month of August for free. We know that there's a ton of people out there who know how to cheat the system, who don't have $10 to pay for the WWE Network, but at the same time, even though I'm happy paying my $10, I mean, if you can get something for free, why wouldn't you take it for free? So I understand for those people who do steal from WWE, even though it is something that we all come together and we all understand that, this is wrestling, this is all what we love, this is all why we're connected. But you have the easy setting of why this match is happening between Undertaker and Brock, being that Undertaker is pissed off that he no longer has his WrestleMania streak. Maybe you can look at WrestleMania 31 and the Bray Wyatt match sort of as a way of saying that that was Undertaker's tune-up to make sure that he was ready to come back. Maybe he doubted himself, thinking that maybe he wasn't as mortal as he once was. Well, I guess he wasn't as immortal as he once was, and he thought he was becoming more of a mortal man, and maybe he thought he was being taken out to the pasture to die, but he was able to defeat Bray Wyatt. He was able to overcome that. So now he knows that he can go after Brock Lesnar, and he has the same powers as he has before. So, he came out and at Battleground and made sure that he stopped Brock Lesnar from becoming the World Heavyweight Champion, helping Seth Rollins, and now is saying, come on, Daddy, let's come and get it. And Brock is more than ready to bring the fight to Undertaker. last night, showing up and surprising Taker, as Taker was surprising Paul Heyman, almost as if Brock Lesnar was hunting the Undertaker and he had set a trap for him. From there, all the wrestlers spilled into the ring. And it didn't matter how many wrestlers got in between these guys. They still wanted to tear each other apart from limb to limb. So this is going to be a big fight, and I'm more than ready for it. Honestly, in my mind, you would think that Undertaker has to beat Brock. But then again, Brock hasn't lost a match in WWE in 2.5 years. Only wrestled a countless number of times, but at least he hasn't been beat since WrestleMania 29. WrestleMania 30 was ultimately a big surprise to me. Honestly, going into that match, I didn't really care for it that much. I thought that it was a lock that every time Undertaker wrestled a match at WrestleMania, he was just going to win. So I thought maybe they put Brock Lesnar in there as a guy that had a big name, had a big body. So when Undertaker beat him, it was a big surprise. But honestly, when Undertaker lost, it was a huge surprise. So going into this match, we know that nobody really has a true advantage. Undertaker, yes, has lost to Brock once. Brock has beat Taker, but you know, it's no clue on what's going to happen. So you're going to have to be tuned in to seeing, you know, what goes down. You know, there is no more streak. There is no undefeated. It's just one dude who wants to take another guy out behind the woodshed and you know, run him through the train and see what goes down. So these guys are going to be hitting each other hard. Hopefully Undertaker doesn't suffer a concussion minutes into this match, and we can get the match that we were hoping to get at WrestleMania 30 and see what goes from there. But I'm looking forward to it. I know you guys are looking forward to it. So big match, Taker versus Brock. Who you got? Hey, what up everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you with a look into the Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar match coming up at SummerSlam 2015. Of course, this is the big one that's going to be held in Brooklyn. A little bit of a surprise. We haven't seen Undertaker at a SummerSlam since 2010. We haven't seen Undertaker wrestle at a SummerSlam since, I believe, 2008. So, you know, Taker became this guy who's sort of just once a year kind of a deal. I don't really like the build-up to the SummerSlam match, basically being of we haven't seen Taker since WrestleMania 30 when he lost to Brock Lesnar. Of course, Brock beating the streak being the basis of this match and what the basis of the story is. They're basically treating us like WrestleMania 31 never happened, with The Undertaker facing Brock Lesnar. I know it was a match that a lot of us didn't really have attention to, and not that many people really talked about the build-up or the match itself. But it still happened, and it's just a little bit weird. It just doesn't sort of make sense, and I know I keep thumping that on the head, but I was there, and I saw Taker, I saw Bray. The match wasn't that great, but I still saw what I saw, and WWE treating it like it never happened doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. In this match, you know, you can definitely see by looking at Taker, we haven't seen him since basically their big brawl the night after Battleground, when the match was named, and he came out to attack Paul Heyman. But then Brock Lesnar came and the fight was on, and they brawled in the ring, outside of the ring, in the back, until the cops had to come and break the situation up. And it does, you know, basically seeing Undertaker not inside the arena, you know, walking to the ring or inside of the ring, it sort of took away the stigma, or like the fairy tale of Undertaker really being a dead guy. You really saw him as a guy. You know, I've always thought of it as like the Undertaker with the gongs. I know that you see him walk out of the back to start his entrance, but it was almost like the gong to me was like him being ascended from hell, and he was coming to the ring to fight his opponent. And I know it doesn't make a lot of sense. You have to disband a lot of, you know, your belief about what is real and what is fake. But hell, it's professional wrestling at the end of the day. When you watch Tough Enough these days, they're explaining what a babyface and what a heel is. They're showing how to take bumps. So I mean, like, the business has really been pulled back, and I know there's a lot of things about wrestling that I don't like, because they try to treat it like they're making a movie or a television show, and they're not just treating it like it's wrestling. But at the end of the day, they always put on a great show. The Undertaker is one of those guys with a great gimmick that you know, has really made a lot of money off of his gimmick more than his wrestling skills. I'm not taking anything away from him. You know, he has his matches, you know, him versus Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 25 and WrestleMania 26. And, you know, he stole the show at a few WrestleManias. But he's not really one of those guys that I really, blows me away with his wrestling, talent. It's not one of those guys that I go back and watch a lot of Undertaker matches, even though I just paid $50 for this Undertaker 21-1 The Streak Rest in Peace edition. I'm basically buying a wooden box that's numbered to 666, just so I can say that my DVD collection has this rare DVD in it. But Undertaker to me is a lot like Clint Eastwood. That's the guy that when, Undertaker comes out there, he's the guy that I think of the most. And he reminds me a lot of the old guy that Eastwood plays in Gran Torino, that is sort of like, holding down his block, making sure that it doesn't get taken over by the gangbangers. And, this is the last stand for Taker. I mean, there's a little bit of talk out there about, basically Taker losing this match at SummerSlam, him throwing in the towel, and, this match being his last match, so he can go into the Hall of Fame at WrestleMania 32. That's not really something that you can not think about. The end is coming, and, we talk about, WrestleMania 33 being in Minnesota or in Orlando, for the last few years that we've known about Dallas, or it's been rumored for Dallas to be hosting, one of the things that you were really expecting was Undertaker to be going into the Hall of Fame in his home state of Texas, and that being that. So, we haven't really seen Taker on Raw. Brock's made his appearance, and, Paul Heyman talked a lot, and, there really isn't anything building this matchup other than Brock saying that he's going to kill Taker. Taker saying that, Brock's going to have to kill him because that's the only way that he's going to be able to stop him. Maybe another loss is what kills Undertaker. And they can go from there. But we'll have to see. It's going to be a damn good one. It's the main event of SummerSlam. I don't think that's, anybody's debating that. It's going to be the last match, the one that goes on. WWE's really blown away about, the people paying attention to the Brock and Taker storyline. And I'm a little bit surprised that a lot of people are still involved in this storyline, still talking about it, still thinking about it, being how we haven't seen Taker in 3 weeks, I believe, on Monday Night Raw, and, Brock's only been on once since then, but they cost a lot of money to bring in, so we'll see where we're going. I'm still picking Taker in this match, but like I said, think about Undertaker taking a loss just to go into WrestleMania 32 as the Hall of Famer. I remember when the rumors were coming out the week of WWE Battleground 2015 that The Undertaker was going to make an appearance at Battleground. And in my mind, I had no clue what Undertaker would be showing up for. Was he just building towards WrestleMania 32? Was he going to be, featured in some sort of the match? And people were throwing out the fact that Undertaker was going to be involved in the Brock Lesnar versus Seth Rollins match. I thought, no way in the world they're going to be doing this. This is way too far out from WrestleMania 32 to start building towards Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar one more time for the WrestleMania streak. Undertaker trying to avenge his loss. And what do you know? Main event time, we're seeing Brock Lesnar kill Seth Rollins. The gong goes off. I knew it was going to happen, and I still was surprised. Undertaker appears. He hits the tombstone on Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar loses his shot of going after the World Heavyweight Championship. Of course, because they're trying to keep Brock as strong as possible, the referee and Seth Rollins disappear. It ends up being all about Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar and their show-off. Undertaker shows up the next night on Monday Night Raw, challenging Brock Lesnar to a match at SummerSlam. The match that's too big for WrestleMania. It's being held at WWE SummerSlam 2015. Not the first time that I've made that mistake during today's show here. I'm trying to call this WrestleMania, but that is what they're really trying to get this down to. They're trying to make SummerSlam as big as WrestleMania, trying to have two big travel events for wrestling fans to go to. If they're able to turn, SummerSlam into a bigger event than it already is, hats off to them, because I'm all for it. Who's not going to want the biggest party of the summer to knock it out of the park? For years, SummerSlam has always been looked at as the number 2 pay-per-view. Some years, they don't really build the best undercard. But when you look at this, Undertaker versus Brock as the main event is really delivered. When they had their show off on Monday Night Raw with these two guys beating the hell out of each other, even with about 25 other superstars inside of the ring, trying to keep them from fighting. it basically made it the match that everyone in the world had to see, and they weren't going to wait to see it. But it's finally here. Undertaker came out during Monday Night Raw, kicked Brock Lesnar right in the balls, gave him the tombstone yet once again. What are they building towards? Are they just trying to have a big match for SummerSlam, just trying to kick this number up, trying to get some more network subscribers? It's the biggest match that they could think of. I don't know why you're not doing Cena versus Undertaker. It's one of the matches that people have wanted to see for years. I've wanted to see it at WrestleMania, trying to have Cena in the streak, but they never gave it to us, and it looks like we're never going to see that match unless you go back and watch the 2002 match, which Cena wasn't even Cena at that point. Of course, he was wrestling as John Cena, but he wasn't the megastar that he is today. So, I'm not sure. I mean, when you look at the drawing board, you got to think of what they're trying to get towards. Some people think that Brock is going to beat Taker. That way it sets up the WrestleMania 32 match. I don't know, man. Taker loses 2 matches. He loses WrestleMania 30. He loses SummerSlam 2015. And now he shows up again in January. And he starts asking Brock Lesnar for one more match. I'm looking at like Shawn Michaels and Undertaker. I think that maybe you ask for one more match, but no way in the world you get 2 out of this. You have to have some sort of a finish. You have Bray Wyatt emerge from hell, coming in, and he costs the Undertaker the match. Somebody costs Brock the match, and Undertaker gets a cheap victory. He doesn't feel like it's he really earned it, so that way he challenges Brock to go at it one more time, because they're tied 1-1, even though he doesn't really feel like he really deserved it. He wants to beat him on his own. Hell, I mean, I will tell you the truth. I'm being 100% selfish. I want the WWE Hall of Fame to mean something. I can't really think of a lot of guys that could go in as the main eventer. I think it's too early for The Rock. He's still basically a part of the main roster. We're still thinking of him as wrestling at WrestleManias. I wouldn't mind seeing Undertaker lose the match and go into the Hall of Fame at WrestleMania 32 in Dallas. It's something that we've been looking forward to for a long time. A lot of people thought that WrestleMania 32 was going to be Undertaker's retirement match anyways. It doesn't really make sense for Undertaker to go into the Hall of Fame in Minneapolis or Orlando, wherever, WrestleMania 33 is going to take place, because we're still rumored about where it's going to take place, and I guess when they name 33, they're going to name 34 as well. That's the way they did 31 and 32, and they named Santa Clara and Dallas. But I've heard Boston, I've heard Detroit, I've heard various other ones. But how can Detroit be able to bring in a Super Bowl, bring in WrestleMania, and not be able to fix that city up? It doesn't really make any sense why they're trying to bring in all these people. If they're bringing all this revenue into the city, why are they not pouring it back into the city? And people have seen the pictures of what Detroit is. It's still a big city in the United States, but this is the town that got torn apart by basically losing Ford, by losing all of the car plants that were there. Sad story. But why did we even start talking about that? We're talking about Undertaker versus Brock, baby. I don't know. I don't see any way in the world Taker wins this match. My money's on Brock. I think it's a lock. Undertaker's got the ups on Brock at Battleground. He got the ups on the go-home show to Monday Night Raw. I guess neither one got the victory when they were fighting inside of the ring. Brock yelled at Taker, "I'm going to kill you." Taker yelled, "You're going to have to." It seems like, Undertaker is just a mortal man, just like me and you. It was funny when I was watching, I think it was The List the other day, and they were talking about Undertaker, coming out and wrestling as the biker Undertaker, big bad evil, whatever you want to call him. I always called him Biker Taker at that time. And, it sort of exposed, what you thought about Undertaker. Is this a real guy? Does he have a house? Does he go grocery shopping? What does this guy do in his real life? I think that's the way he is right now. When I look at him, I see Dirty Harry. I see an older Clint Eastwood. I see that guy from Gran Torino holding down the block, not letting, big bad Brock Lesnar run his yard. Undertaker's been that guy who's always deserved respect, and he might have to beat it into Brock. But I don't see Brock Lesnar winning this match against Taker. I don't think there's a way in the world that it's going to happen. So that's my views. That's my speculation on everything that's the SummerSlam 2015. Let me know what you guys think. Who's winning this main event? Who's winning the other matches? Get back to me at Stevie Breach on Twitter. Peace out, everybody.